Hi everyone. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate for you all how functions work and specifically how the return portion of a function operates. So what I have here and what you've downloaded is a small program that I just called DogBreed.py. The purpose of this program, as you can see, is to welcome the user to the dog show and ask them what their favorite dog breed is, and then it's supposed to report to them that their favorite dog breed has indeed won the show. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through this short program line by line to see how this works. So you'll see here just obviously at the top I've told you the name and the purpose of it, and then I've just given you a short little write-up here about what the purpose of that program is. But the meat of this program is here within my defined function called DogBreed. So remember, DEF is just how we define a function, and then it's up to you just to name it whatever you want to name it, and then determine what that function's going to do. So remember, I can name it anything. I chose to name it DogBreed. Remember, all functions have an open and closed parentheses after them, regardless of whether or not there are any required parameters. So like our print function, the DogBreed function has no required parameters. So there's not anything that the user has to type in when they call the function. The function is just going to operate with everything that is listed underneath it. So the lines that follow here that are indented, remember we have that colon here, which means everything underneath our function definition is going to be indented with a tab. So, and what's going to happen is it's simply going to print a message to the user. It says, "Welcome to the dog show," and then it's going to ask them a question. What is your favorite dog breed? And now the way we have this coded is that it's asking for user input, which meaning the program would pause and wait for the user to type something and hit return. And notice that our function actually returns this item. So that's what we're going to talk about here, is that we're going to talk about what this function actually does and how it can be used moving through the program. However, it's important to understand up front that these 3 lines of code right here, while they define the function, they don't actively do anything in your program. If you were to run your program with just those 3 lines of code, nothing would show up to the user. So let's demonstrate that. So I'm just going to comment out these 2 lines of code that call the function. I'm going to go ahead and save my, not save as. I'm going to go ahead and save this script, and I'm going to go ahead and run this script. And we're going to see that it doesn't report anything out to us. There's no errors. It ran fine. It just, there was nothing, we didn't tell it to do anything. We just defined a function within it. So let's go back to our script here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to call our function. So how your function is defined determines how you call the function. We know that we eventually want to use what the user types in as their favorite dog breed later on in the program to tell them that that dog breed won the dog show. So that's why that element is defined as the return value. So I'm going to uncomment out these 2 lines of code. The best way for us to capture what a function returns is to store that in a variable. So here we're doing that with a variable named favorite. So I've just on the fly defined a variable named favorite, and what I've done is I've called the DogBreed function, and whatever gets returned by that function is going to be stored into my variable called favorite. Now when we go back up to our function, we see that what gets returned to our main program is whatever the user types in to the answer to this question, to the answer to this input function. So essentially whatever they type in as the answer here gets stored in my variable called favorite. And then what we're going to do is we use the print statement to combine a print statement telling them congratulations, whatever they've typed in has won the dog show. All right, so let's test this out. Let's go ahead, we're going to save our program. We're going to run the module. All right, welcome to the dog show. What is your favorite dog breed? All right, well, I'm going to say my favorite dog breed is a mutt. Oh, congratulations, mutt won the show. So notice, let's go back to our program, that whatever I typed in to the answer to the question when I called dog breed got put into that variable called favorite. So why do we then create this as a function? Why don't we just type this skip the function and just do an input statement and the print statement? Well, we could, but let's say we want to actually have this happen multiple times. We want whatever is in that function to be run multiple times throughout our program. We could always copy and paste and paste and paste and paste and make a really long program, or we can just repeatedly call that one function and all of the lines of code that are in that function get run regardless and without, I should say, us retyping them all. So let's demonstrate that. So I want to allow for the user to decide who wins the second round of the dog show. So I'm going to create a new variable here called nextFav, and I'm going to call my dog breed function again. So I'm going to uncomment out this print statement. And I'm going to say, but now you have to choose another favorite because two of the same breed can't win all of the shows. So I'm going to create a new variable called nextFav. Remember, I've just created that on the fly. And I encourage you to be typing and doing this demonstration along with me. Feel free to change the name of the variable. Just remember, if you change the name of the variable, you need to change it also within the print statement. So I'm going to do my print statement that nextFav has won the second round. So now I've called my function once here, put it into favorite, and now I've called it a second time and put it into nextFav. So I have two variables holding two different pieces of input from my program. So let's go ahead and save. Always good to see how this plays out. So let's go ahead and run our module. Oh, look, I have an error message. So look at this. So this is common for me. So I've done a lot of my coding in Python 2. Python 3 requires those parentheses around our print statements. So yes, I did indeed mean to be coding in Python 3. I'm going to put my parentheses around my print statement. And you're going to see down here as I look through that we're going to run into this issue again. So always good. This is a good learning moment. So I'm going to go up here and save. And now I'm going to run again with those parentheses around that print statement. All right, again, welcome to the dog show. What's your favorite dog breed? I'm going to stick to my guns on Mutt. All right, Mutt won the show. Welcome to the dog show again. What's my favorite breed? Okay, let's see here. I'm going to say that a golden is my second favorite. Golden has won the second round. So as you see, our dog breed function was called. Mutt is sitting in favorite, and actually when I called it the second time and put golden into nextFav, it tells me that it's sitting in nextFav. So one question you might be asking is, well, why did you do a new variable? Why didn't you just reuse favorite? Well, I could reuse favorite all the time if I want, but what would happen is that whatever gets put into that variable gets overwritten. So I would lose access to that word mutt if I wanted it. If I didn't need to reuse that word, that's fine. You could just recall the same statement, favorite equal dog breed, 5 times, and it would ask the same question 5 times, and it would overwrite what's sitting in that variable. So we could go ahead and we could print out, down here, we could go ahead and say, let's comment out nextFav, and let's pretend like we just recalled that same function again, put it in the same variable name. So we just want to be able to have the user type in a different dog breed. And when we do that, we're going to see how what gets put into favorite gets overwritten. All right, so this is really just the demonstration of you could reuse the variable, but when you do reuse the variable, what's sitting in there gets overwritten each time the variable gets reused and populated with something new. So let's go ahead and, remember, actually I'm going to save this. I want you to see how Python here tells you about those parentheses. So if I run that module, notice here, because I didn't land on this syntax error very long for you last time, it's telling me that I'm missing a parentheses to call print. Did you mean print? And it tells you the correct syntax. Yes, I did indeed. So it could very well say, hey, Python 2 user, Python 3 is different. You need parentheses around those print statements. So I wanted you to see what that message was, and it's kind of nice. It highlights where the error is in your code. So yes, indeed, I want those parentheses around that statement so it actually prints. Save the update. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. All right, what's your favorite dog breed? I'm going to say Mutt. There you go. What's your favorite dog breed? Again, for the next one, I'll go ahead and say Golden. All right, so Golden has won the second round. Now remember, the last thing we did here was just reprint out that favorite variable because I wanted you to see that what's sitting in there now is Golden. We've lost access to Mutt. We would have to rerun the function again and put Mutt back into that as an answer if we wanted access to that particular answer again. So that's the ramifications if you use the same variable name over and over. Really, it's about the purpose of your program. So let's go back to our program here. I'm going to comment out these last 3 lines of code where favorite was reused because I like this program better when I can capture multiple breed names and I can give myself a message about the different things that happened throughout the day. And I'm going to give myself a final print message and do it properly with my parentheses around the whole thing. So make sure you're updating that on your end as well. Where I'm going to capture and do a print statement that combines both my favorite variable and my next fav variable. Now, one other thing you might be asking about this function is that, well, when the program runs, I don't really like that welcome to the dog show gets repeated at me. So if you don't like that, you don't necessarily have to have that particular statement inside of your function. Let's say that we want that just to be the first thing that happens here in my program. I don't want it necessarily in my function. In my function, I just want to ask the person, what's your favorite dog breed? That would be one way to do that. And we'll see here how that kind of changes what you see when the functions run. One is not right and one is not wrong. Again, it completely depends upon what the user experience of your program needs to be. So this is just one way. If that function gets repeated and you don't want to constantly be saying welcome to the dog show, you could move that statement outside of the function. So let's go ahead and save this and run it. All right, what is your favorite dog breed? All right, Mutts are still my favorite. And shift this up a little bit. What's my favorite dog breed? I'm going to say Goldens are my favorite again. And then what a day. Mutt and Golden ruled the dog show. Notice here, and you can see this in my string of restarts of that script, that in the last round, welcome to the dog show only printed out once because it's not part of my function. It's only listed in my program to be displayed once. So let me get back to here we go. So instead of being repeated each time the function runs, it's just typed out once. What's my favorite dog breed? Congratulations, they won the show. But now you have to choose another favorite. So what is your favorite dog breed? Golden. Golden has won the second round. What a day. Mutt and Golden ruled the dog show. So that is just a really good example about how functions work and return something back to the main program and how you can capture that return in order to use it later on in your program. Another way to look at this is with the graphic that's provided to you on your Canvas page as well. So sometimes looking at this in more of a graphic function is easier for some people. So there's 2 wheels going on here. The left-hand wheel is just a basic in plain English what's going on when we are working on our functions. Apologies for that. The orange circle here, a function is called. So when a function is called, then the function runs. Then the function is going to send back some information to the program. It's going to return something to the program. The sent back information, what's in the return, is then used by the program. And then as the program moves forward, it can call the function again and again and again if it wants. So then we're back to the function is called. So this wheel can happen as many times as you need it to. So let's see what's happening actually in our dog breed program when it comes to each of these bubbles. So when we are calling a function, here the example in our program is that we called our dog breed function and put it to be stored inside the variable of favorite. The function is simply going to run. What the user typed in as in the input statement within our function is what gets returned, and we've decided to have it return and get stored inside of a variable called favorite. So the way that gets used then in the program is in the print statement. When it prints out that congratulations, favorite, whatever got returned back to the program, that dog breed name, won the show. And then if we wanted to move forward and call the function again, as we did in our little program, the way we did that in our program was we defined a new variable called nextFav, and we called the dog breed function again. What got returned this time got stored in the variable nextFav. And then you can go through this cycle many times with new variable names if you're so inclined. So I hope this example has helped you to understand more about functions and how their return values can be used in programs. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Just reach out and ask.